Welcome back to In Your Money. We're discussing investments under retirement and financial planning. My guests are Leseka Monering and Polesa Dube. If you'd like to email me, my details appear on the screen. Come back, you had a thought about, we were talking about risk and performance and how people see it.
Absolutely, and it just came to me. So often what we see is that the conversations around money and returns around the Bryan are always someone telling you, I've made this much, but no one actually tells you when they lost money. So that's also very important. So when you're comparing your portfolio with someone else's returns, you need to consider that when they lost money, chances are you're not privy to that part of that conversation. So be very wary about comparative numbers and, like I said, managing risk in that way.
Leseka, there's a saying, a woman will never tell her husband how much he spent on a dress. Okay? And a man will never tell his wife how much he lost on the stock exchange. Exactly. I just understand it. That's a given fact. So just Polesa, what percentage of your growth investments up to last year were offshore, and have you changed your thinking in terms of the funds you're investing for clients? Someone comes to you now with R1 million.
Yeah.
How much would you have taken overseas a year ago?
Around between 50 and 55%.
That's not a lot, by the way, for growth. Okay, so that was quite conservative.
Yeah. Well, and these are, mostly South African investors.
And now?
I would stay around the same.
You would?
I would say a maximum 60%. Again, my belief is that the portfolio does need to be diversified. And especially if you're going to spend in South Africa, it makes sense for a sizable portion of that portfolio to be in South Africa. 2025, as you were saying earlier, was a great year on the JSE. So if you look 5 years, yes, you can make the point to say, well, offshore markets have had delivered such good returns. But the JSE showed us last year that it is just as competitive and can deliver the same. So a balanced approach, I think, is more prudent in the long term.
Let's understand, globally, there were 10 or 15 stocks that performed.
That's
and in
another
South
point.
Africa, 10 or 15 stocks.
Yeah.
The rest of the markets did absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
On your percent, what were you advising clients a year ago?
So definitely someone who's got a long-term and a balanced portfolio. We were looking at about 45% offshore, with the balance between South African assets and some conservative assets. But it really depends, Bryan. So someone who has a long-term, so for example, children's investments can take even more higher risk. So that portfolio would have more probably global assets. And again, when we're talking about long-term, 7-10 years, in excess of that, we can take more risk. And to your point again, there's more, you need to be competing on a company level, and it needs to be, so your money needs to be making money across the globe and the best opportunities there. What is very interesting on what we are doing for clients, we also, so offshore is not traditionally just the US. I think we've talked about that. So it's also looking at emerging economies. There's a lot of opportunities that we incorporate into clients' portfolios. So countries, your emerging economies, there's also great opportunity there. So I think it's diversification, but not having 100% in one or the other. So not 100% SA, not 100% US or Euro, but having a very global portfolio, a well-balanced portfolio. And again, when it comes to long-term, it definitely makes sense. And that's how we would manage it. And different investment will have different asset allocations.
Okay.
Different goals will have a different asset allocation.
Okay, I want to spend the next 8 minutes on something very important.
Yeah.
Retirement planning. Because our program is retirement and investment planning, financial planning. Let's just talk a bit about retirement planning. 28th of February, retirement time. All in my life, I was brought up in the industry going back into the 60s. And I'm going to ask you both a question. What do you think tax was in 1968?
I think you've told us this before.
Have I?
10-ish or less?
How much?
15?
No, I've never
Was
told
it
no.
not?
15?
Tax in 1968 at 28,000 Rand was 72%.
Actually, that makes sense.
And there was a levy
Yeah.
of 6%.
Yeah.
So you actually paid 78%.
Yeah.
And people were pouring money into retirement fund because of the tax saving.
Yeah.
Although a retirement fund is not just about tax saving.
That's right.
It's saving for retirement.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So let's just talk about that. importance, how much can you invest,
Yeah.
what have you got to do, what happens if you're in a pension and provident fund already. Just talk us through that.
It's the beginning of the year, and so we get that question quite a lot. You know, whether it's your higher earners, your entrepreneurs, in fact, everybody across the board actually should be contributing to a retirement fund or retirement annuity, any retirement fund. And it's got two primary benefits. Firstly, the tax efficiency, and I guess just protection around creditors and all of that. But what interests people the most is tax efficiency. An important aspect, but as you said, you know, I think a retirement fund is one of the most underrated vehicles, because it's really something that can help you accumulate quite a bit of wealth over time. So tax efficiency, what does it mean? You can contribute 27.5% of your taxable income into a retirement fund, and you get that as a
Retirement fund and pension or provident fund.
Well, let's
a
call
total
it
of 27.5.
That's right. That's right. So that's an important point to make.
So someone listening, watching our program, may be an employee really contributing 12 or 15%.
Exactly. So it's your contributions across the board.
Yeah.
Okay. So that you can get back as a tax deduction. It's an encouragement from SARS, because they want to make sure that we are all, you know, have made provision for ourselves when the time comes to retire. Another bit that adds to its tax efficiency, anything that is in your retirement fund. So you don't pay any dividends tax on, you don't pay interest you don't pay tax on the interest, neither are you going to pay any capital gains tax while it's there. So it's a source where, you know, I mean, imagine it's the compounding effect over a long time. And then when we say 27.5% to a maximum, well, 27.5% of your taxable income to a maximum of 350 a year, I think investors also get fixated on the 350. What's important to understand is that there's nothing stopping you from contributing more than that, because what you're actually doing is building up some tax credits for yourself. So one day when you finally retire, you can claim all of that as a tax-free withdrawal, or you can use that against an income that you take out of the retirement fund at a later stage.
Is it all tax-free at retirement?
No.
For the extra contribution, that you unclaimed contributions.
Yeah. Well, let's say your credit at the time is R1 million.
Yeah.
That's the extent to which that's how much you can take back or claim back as a tax-free portion. So it's whatever you have accumulated.
So that extra
up until that time
is going to pay no tax on dividends, no tax on interest, no tax on capital gains or anything. Yeah. So it's like a tax-free saving within your retirement annuity.
Correct. Exactly. So I think those are the factors that contribute to it being such an efficient, such a great way to accumulate wealth over time.
So you said government's encouraging you to save. So I'm going to come to you. A two-pot system.
Sure, but I just want to
77 billion withdrawn in the last 18 months.
Crazy. I mean, it's crazy, Bryan, and I think it's again coming to Phyllis's point about being underrated. We need to do a lot of work educating consumers, educating and investors on the tax implications of something like that. So I mean, with the tax-free, the two-part withdrawal, anything over whatever you withdraw. You taxed at your marginal income tax rate. So that's anything from 18 up until 45%, and that's complete waste of money. Whereas if you leave it and you let a compound effect of that value, it will pay for much more than what you're currently using it for. So and I mean, so we really encourage clients to use this opportunity to contribute towards their retirement annuities. Find out, a lot of people don't know how they work, or they've seen their RAs not performing well, and then they have issues about it. Sometimes it's the fees, but it's really, really beneficial. I mean, to illustrate the point, if your taxable income is R1 million, that's that you would pay tax on, the deduction that you would get is 275,000 of that money, which equates to about 22,000 rand per month that you get back from SARS by maximizing your contributions to retirement funds. I mean, that's 22. We all need a bit of leeway. So that's money on the table that you would get at the end of the tax year if you maximize your retirement contributions. So I definitely think it's something that we should push, especially for entrepreneurs, because most of them are not members of formal retirement funds. Some clients have made use of their two-part withdrawals. So if you want to save and if you want money back, you have to maximize. Find out, and if you have a bad retirement product, it's also a great opportunity to review it. Find out how much you're paying, what is going on, why is it not growing? Because again, without the tax implications, and with a well-balanced RA should give you very good returns.
You know, I get the statement, I'm with Alan Graham, with Coronation, Anchor Investing, I've done well. And I say to them, they haven't done well for you. They are the room. You bought a platform, a vehicle to invest your money. It's the underlying investments that have done well. People don't always understand that. I think Alan Gray got 61 funds or something. So which fund were you in? You may not even be in an Alan Gray fund. You've got to understand that. The two things I like to say is, if you've taken money out of the two-pot system, you can't put it back. That you can't do. So what you can do is take out a retirement annuity. Maybe you needed to access the money. One other thing I thought is a big advantage. In my day, when you bought a retirement annuity, you were locked until 55. Now, because if you've got the savings pot, 2/3, 1/3, and you can get the 1/3 back, although, as you mentioned, it's taxable. Guys, I can't believe it. I've got so many emails. We'll have to get you back on, but we've run out of time. I received many calls from workers who've been offered early retirement. It's important to keep the following concerns in your mind. You will have contributed to your retirement fund a shorter period. You will miss out on the significant compounding growth that typically occurs in the final 5 to 10 years before retirement. Your funds will need to last longer, much longer, if your life expectancy remains the same. For example, if you retire at 55 with a life expectancy of 30 years, your capital must last 30 years, and at 65 it must last 20 years. Keep that in mind. And also understand inflation in retirement is a lot higher than current CPI. And if you plan to retire early and stop working entirely, think twice. While early retirement may seem appealing, I can assure you that the golden years you'll look forward to could easily end up being financially stressed years instead. Lesecha, Palesa, sorry we ran out of time. Thank you for joining me this evening. It's important to note our program is to provide information and should not be construed as advice. Next week's program we're dealing with healthcare, and if you need to get hold of me or Palesa or Lesecha, please, you can always get hold of my office on www.bhca.co.za. I'll repeat that, www.bhca.co.za, and I can put you in touch with the ladies. I'd like to thank you for watching, and good night.